Jaz bi vas rada najprej pozdravila v tem čudovitem ambientu, Theosopski knjižnici in se zahvaljujem, da ste si vzeli svoj čas in seveda tudi vsej ekipi, vašemu direktorju, ki vedno znova poskrbi, da sprejme prave govorce in danes, oziroma včeraj, ko smo sprejeli v našo državo visoko duhovno učiteljico in nekako se mi je ponudila priložnost, da, ker poznam ta vaš prostor, da vam predstavim. Jaz sem jo včeraj spoznala in to je ljubezen za celo življenje in nekako sem počaščena, da smo imeli že včeraj en dogodek v Ljubljani, danes pa tukaj v Celju in jaz verjamem, da boste uživali v čudoviti zgodbi Gandhija, ki jo profesor dr. Shobhana Radhakrishna tako lepo predstavi. Tako da welcome and floor is yours. Please.
My first obeisance is to God Almighty, who has inspired me to take up this task. My second obeisance is to the Mahatma, the great soul, MAHATMA. That is the great soul, whose life enlightens us all from inside out, whose faith and endeavor can be a role model for all of us at all ages and in all times. And my third obeisance is to the Jivatma, to all of you. And this place is called Jivatma. So I am very honored to come here, and to all the Lokatmas here, evolved souls, your eyes give me strength. In my opinion, Gandhi's life is an epic of faith and endeavor. His faith was in truth, the ultimate reality of truth, and he endeavored to attain it through non-violence throughout his life till the very last breath. For him, perhaps, the greatest source of his strength was in his faith in God. That gave him two realizations. First one was that he had to be nothing but an instrument in God's hands. He had to go wherever God led him, in the path of truth that was available to him. He had to walk on that in whichever measures and form that was available to him. And the second one was that he had to gaze inwards constantly to find inspiration. The greater the truth, the harder was the non-violence. That is, greater the faith, stronger was his endeavor. And he realized, he said, truth is God. And in that awareness, he understood that in each one of us, there is, because God is omnipresent, so truth is omnipresent too. That in each one of us, there is an element of truthfulness that is present. There is an element of godliness that is present, goodness that is present. So Mahatma Gandhi's endeavor throughout his life was to arouse that goodness, to identify that goodness, and to nurture it. This was one of the reasons why he could see oneness with everybody. Everybody for him was the same, part of the human family. And the reality, the truth is that we all belong to the same human family. I have come from India. You are from Slovenia. Somebody may have come from any part of the world. But we are all interrelated and interdependent, being one human family. Therefore, all of you are my brothers and sisters. All of you are my family. And in India, in our wisdom tradition, we say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The entire world is one family. Our civilization is more than 5,000 years old. That Indian civilization and the great seers and sages had visualized this already 5,000 years ago. What many of us fail to understand easily, because it is so apparent, it is so clear in front of us, the truth, but we do not see that because we are blinded by our egos, we are blinded by our perceptions and our sensory experiences. So we somehow are unable to see that oneness that everybody has with every creature of the world. Therefore, Gandhi said that we all are one. He had no enemies. He did not want to take any revenge. He had no hatred towards anybody. For him, the only thing that he knew was love and compassion and the feeling of oneness with everyone. The past century when he belonged, he was born 150 years ago in India. Have you been to India before? Anyone? But you have been to India, and we have some arrangements happening. So can I stop for 5 minutes? Then start. I would like to acknowledge my grateful thanks to Professor Alma first and foremost. She was the first person I came to know in Slovenia, and who came like a divine angel in my life. And she is such a compassionate and wonderful person who organized 2 lectures for me, and yesterday was the first time we were meeting her. So I'm very thankful to you. I'm very thankful to the Indian Embassy in Slovenia for their support, and above all, I'm very thankful to Theosophical Society of Slovenia for agreeing to organize this lecture at such a short notice. Perhaps this is the shortest notice that you have received. And I acknowledge with grateful thanks your great help and support, and it was Providence that brought us here. So I thank God for everything that He has done for us. 150 years ago, Mahatma Gandhi was born in the western part of India called Saurashtra, in a town called Porbandar. He was born on 2nd October 1869, and that makes it 150 years of his birth anniversary. And in 2007, United Nations declared his birth anniversary or birthday as the UN International Day of Non-Violence. So this is one mission why I am here. My second purpose is to find Gandhi in all of you, to make you all realize the power and potential that each and everybody, one of us have, and how to harness that potential to realize the true purpose of our life. Also, I am very much happy to meet the entire world family, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, because it's all my family, we all are one. So it's always a happy occasion to come to such places. In the first half of the 20th century, when the world was torn apart by violence, hatred and intolerance, there were two world wars. There was the Holocaust and the atom bomb, which destroyed humanity to an unprecedented proportion. At that time, there was only Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, who stood up to say no to injustice, who stood up speaking of non-violence and truth, and waving the flag of non-violence and truth. He courageously faced the mightiest of the empire of that time, the British Empire. So, when Gandhi was born in India, India was ruled by the British, and they had ruled over us for 190 years. He did not like to be a slave at all. He wanted to free his motherland. And in that quest, and his own quest, his own principles are truth, non-violence, and purity of means. His parents were very pious and truthful people. Child Mohan had great learning from the role models of his parents. So he was born, truth came very easily to him. He was born from the nectar of truth. All of us are born with the nectar of truth. Till the fear of the society does not cloud our truth, we are truthful. Gandhi never allowed the fear of the society to cloud his truth. So his quest for his entire life was the quest for truth. At that time there was a lot of influence of Jainism. And our friend Jayaprakash ji showed me one phrase from our country, Ahimsa Paramo Dharma. The highest religion is non-violence. For Gandhi, non-violence did not mean only not killing. It also meant for him that we should not have violent thoughts, or we should not say violent words, and not do any violent act to hurt anybody. That was the non-violence of Gandhi, which was equivalent to love and compassion, which he used later on after he studied in London for 3 years to become a barrister from the age of 18 to 21, where he learned the lesson of citizenship. In India, the foundation of his character was laid, because for him, character was of the most important thing in life. He did not want anybody to point a finger at him. And they were, in our country, maybe in your country also, knowledge is transmitted by oral transmission, from parents to children, from father to son, from mother to daughter, from guru to shishya. It is called Guru Shishya Parampara. It is by observing that the children learn from their parents. And the highest religion in that part of India was Ahimsa, or non-violence. So this person's character, which was based on highest form of ethical behavior and moral conduct, was based and was formed in India. And after he came back to India at the age of 21, he went to South Africa to work, where he stayed for 21 years. But things were transforming every day. He was going through transformation. He was an ordinary person like you and me, very ordinary. How this very ordinary person became an extraordinary seeker is something we are interested in today, as our topic of today's lecture is Transformational Leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. About him, he called himself the practical idealist. He was an idealist. Whatever he saw, whatever he read, whatever he heard, if he liked it, he immediately started putting it into practice. So for Gandhi, the most important thing was action. In his life we see love in action, or non-violence in action, or compassion in action. He had said, an ounce of practice is worth more than tons of preaching. Someone was watching him from the first half of the 20th century, and that was Albert Einstein. He was amazed at this man of non-violence who had created such an impact on everyone he had met. So he said about Gandhi, and I would request all of you to listen into what Albert Einstein had to say about Gandhi.
I believe that Gandhi's views were the most enlightened of all the political men in our time. We should strive to do things in his spirit, not to use violence in fighting for our cause, but by non-participation in anything you believe is evil.
He had also very famously said that generations to come will scarce believe that such a man in flesh and blood ever walked on this earth. It's been only 70 plus years since he has gone. He was assassinated on 30th January 1948. So it's been almost 7 decades. And I belong to the generation who has not seen Gandhi. I am not even related to Gandhi, but his blood flows in my veins, as it flows in the veins of each one of you. The same blood flows in our veins. We are one and the same. My conscience, your conscience, the world conscience, conscience of God, and conscience of Gandhi are one and the same. We are the manifestation of that divine energy that pervades the nature, that is everywhere, that is unseen. It works in total silence, and it works with rhythmic routine, and it is there for our benefit with such benevolence that it is always available to us in plenty. So, I would like to also say about the Theosophical Society and your logo. It says there is no religion higher than truth. That is something that Gandhi also believed. And the beautiful emblem of the serpent, the inverted triangles, the symbol from Egypt, and the symbol of swastika has such profound message. It has changed the lives of so many people in the Theosophical Society since the time the founder had founded. Dr. Annie Besant had come to India and worked for many years. She was also one of the founders of the Indian National Congress. And she worked with Lokmanya Tilak, a great leader for Indian Home Rule. She had found J. Krishnamurti, Jiddu Krishnamurti, and his brother. So she took him under his wings, and he was the greatest teacher that was announced to the world. I'm very lucky that I have studied in J. Krishnamurti Foundation in the school which he had founded in India. That is in Varanasi or Banaras. It used to be called Foundation for New Education, where Krishna ji used to come regularly to give talks and stay there amongst us. We were very small, so perhaps the profound knowledge that he was saying was not immediately understood by us, but now when we read, when we reflect, when we rethink, it is such profound knowledge. And that same knowledge is what we see in Gandhi's life. Gandhi had said that I have nothing new to teach. Truth and non-violence are as old as hills. Many seers and sages and teachers have shown it to us throughout the history of humankind from all over the world. They have been great masters, great teachers, and they have walked the path of truth and non-violence and shown us the pure means of living, how we should lead our lives. So this is, he said, I am merely putting into practice these profound spiritual practices and in experimenting in newer fields of education, society, religion, politics, economics, and so on. So here was a person whose principles are truth, non-violence, and purity of means. His definition of truth was very simple. Utter as you think and act as you utter. That means there should be total harmony between what you think, what you speak, and what you do. It is rather simple. But when we start applying it to ourselves, we'll stumble and get many obstacles in our way. Gandhi also, like us, faced many obstacles in his transformation. But what was special about him was that he learned from it. He could identify his mistakes. Every day he used to progress further, and that's why he had a ever progressive personality. He remained a student throughout his life. His education did not stop at all by only being a barrister. It went on, and there is so much to learn. So he kept his mind absolutely open to all the noble thoughts from the world. He said, let all our Vedas have said, let noble thoughts from all over the world come to us. And Gandhi also said that I want to keep my windows and doors open so that I get the winds of all the wisdom that is in the world. But I do not want to be uprooted from my civilization. So this was a man who insisted on purity of means. He said, if your goals are pure, your means also have to be pure. If you want to reach the goal of truth, your life has to be truthful in the pursuit of truth only. If you want peace, and if you continue to indulge in violence and war and all, definitely we are not going to reach that far. Because the person who walks on the path, that is all what is in his hands, his or her. Only the effort is in our hands. The final result is in the hands of God. But the person who makes the effort on the pure means always receives spiritual enlightenment. And in our scriptures, we have always been told to work selflessly, without craving for the fruit of action. That is from our Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna has already given this to the world. So I will tell you that because for him, truth was the goal and means of realizing it was non-violence. Therefore, his insistence at every point in life was on non-violence, love, compassion. That is how he led his life. So, he has also said that my life is my message. And this is a profound statement. Like in the Vedas, we have profound statements of Aham Brahmasmi or Tat Tvamasi. Thou art that. I am that. So like that, he said, my life is my message. Only a very supremely confident person who is very confident about his conduct can declare this to the world. And Gandhi had already declared it, saying, my life is my message. And from that message, you can open any page and you will get inspired. You will come to know how he experimented and can continue to learn from his life and transform himself. So now the question is, how can we do that? Are leaders born? That is the trait theory. Or because of certain crises or certain circumstances, do the leaders emerge? Or are we all capable of transforming ourselves into leaders? That is a question that we need to ask. Before that, I must tell you, introduce myself as someone who was born in Gandhiji's ashram. You have been to the ashram in Pali.
No, not
You
yet.
have not yet been to the ashram in Pali. You have all not come to India. But this ashram, Gandhi was a barrister when he went to South Africa. But after he came face to face with racial discrimination because the color of his skin, brown, black, yellow. So he faced discrimination and he was personally humiliated and insulted and absolutely subjected to cruel treatment. But there is a famous incident where he was thrown out of the train in Pietermaritzburg on 6th May 1893 on a very cold winter night because he was black. He was brown and holding on to the first class ticket and sitting in the first class coach. The whites objected and they told the guard to throw him out. Gandhi refused to go. He was someone who would say no to injustice. He said, I have the valid reason to sit here, I have a first class ticket and I am a barrister. But they just didn't listen to him, they pushed him on the platform. That night, he shivered in that cold night, but didn't have enough courage to pick up even his coat. He was afraid that he may be insulted again. But that was the night he spent in the waiting room of, say, a Pietermaritzburg railway station. He thought, why have I come to this country? Is it to be insulted like this? Why shouldn't I go back? But Gandhi was no coward. He said, no, I have come here for a task. I have come here for 1 year, so I have to stay back. And I cannot run back only because of the difficulties. I am not the only one who is facing such problem. There are 30,000 Indians who are facing this problem because in South Africa, British colonial rulers had brought indentured labor from India to work in the plantations, in the mines, coal mines and gold mines and etc. So there are more people who are facing such humiliation. So he decided to stay back and he thought, our weapon, the highest weapon that we have any human being has is non-violence and the power of saying no to injustice. So he decided that through love force, truth force, and soul force, and through self-sacrifice and suffering, he will try to change the hearts of the adversaries, to point out that, listen friend, you are wrong. We are all human beings. You should not treat anybody like this. So he brought all the Indians together, and this man, who was a very shy and gentle person, gave his public speech to the Indians to come together, and through this method of non-violent resistance, tried to change the heart of the British rulers. Later on, this seed of that very great gift that he has given to humanity was sown on that day. And it flowered after 13 years in the form of Satyagraha. Satyagraha is non-violent resistance, using all the things, power of non-violence that I have told you. So, what happened? What were those traits that were already there? As I have said, in our country, the tradition has been passed through Guru Shishya Parampara, from parents to children. And that is slowly getting eroded even now. But we have had great examples of leaders, of seers and sages, rishis, munis. If you are familiar with our wisdom tradition, then you will see that we have had great philosophers and thinkers like you all have here. And you have given me a lot of names of the philosophers. Perhaps we will show you in a while. But I will go back to this point before I proceed further about the Sevagram ashram. This ashram was the fourth ashram of Mahatma Gandhi. After he read the book by John Ruskin called Unto This Last, his life changed from a life of a barrister. He changed to a life of community living, of sharing and caring, of sharing sins and saintliness, vices and virtues, of leading a life of bread labor. And that word he had taken from Tolstoy, Leo Tolstoy, who had had a profound influence on his thinking through his book called The Kingdom of God is Within You. But today, I am not here to speak about the influence of Tolstoy on Mahatma Gandhi, but I am here to say that in the ashrams, bread labor became one of the observances. So in India, in South Africa, his two ashrams or settlements were known as Phoenix Settlement and Tolstoy Farm. And in India, when he came in 1915 at the age of 45 years, he established two more ashrams. One was called Sabarmati Ashram and the other one was called Sevagram Ashram. I was born in Sevagram Ashram, and this ashram is very different than all the ashrams that you will see nowadays. Nowadays it's very opulent and 5-star ashrams. But this was a very simple life of voluntary poverty, of self-restraint, of minimalism, of renouncing everything. So my father was with Gandhiji for 21 years. He worked with him for 10 years. So what I am telling everybody today, or wherever I go and give lectures, and I have gone to 41 countries in this past 1.5 years, and I have given many lectures in India to inspire people, is based on what my personal experiences are and what my father told me. And even after Gandhiji passed away, for the next 50 years, 5 decades, we have followed to walk on the path Gandhi showed. And that path was not only shown to us, that path is open for humanity to follow. So this is one of the reasons, and I will now go about how people can transform themselves And how is it that we are all endowed with such divine qualities, which in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 16th chapter, Lord Krishna describes as the 26 divine attributes. One of all those attributes are present in us. It has to be brought out. We have to recognize that after all, we are all spiritual beings. We have that immense capability of rising up and upwards. Look upwards and move away from our base tendencies. So I must tell you the means of Gandhi's strength were very unique to him. One of it was, the first one was silence, mourn. As we were talking in the car, you said you have kept silence for 5 days and you've done it many times in the retreat. How powerful that is, how communicative that is, and how much internal strength that gives. You know Professor very well. For Gandhi, since he had no private moment at all, everything he did because it was God-given work. He was doing God's work. So for one day he used to keep silence from Sunday night to Monday night. That was his means of amassing internal strength. The second one was fasting. That also we discussed in the car. People fast for their own reasons of wellness, or in India, women especially know very well the importance of fasting. And it's a practice to fast on several occasions. But Gandhi fasted for social causes for 17 times. And he fasted up to 21 days together for social causes. So the third method was prayer. Prayers were for him the most important moment. It was food for his soul. And those prayers used to be held twice a day, in the morning and evening, at 4 a.m. and 7 p.m. in the evening, in the open sky, under the stars, under the beautiful breeze and the tree. And these were from all the religions. We add this in the ashram. We learn to sing prayers from all the religions, because Gandhi said, ultimately, all the religions of the world point to the same truth. Therefore, we should all study the essence of all the religions in perfect reverence and have an attitude of friendship and respect towards the practitioners of different religions. In his life, he endeavored to have interfaith dialogue, to understand about the commonality of religions. So he was himself a very religious man. The God that he worshipped was truth, and his religion was serving humanity. There were no idols in the ashram. It was an ashram of truth and bread labor and non-violence. And other than Satyagraha, he had given two very great gifts to the world. One was constructive activities. Very few people know about that. That is serving the poorest of the poor in whichever capacity it is possible, in whichever field that is possible. So Gandhi's gift is constructive activities, which we know now as social work or volunteerism. More than a century ago, he had already practiced it. And the third one, which nobody knows about, is Ekadasha Vrata, or 11 observances. In the ashram, Gandhiji had made a set of 11 rules. Any rule that is followed for the lifetime is known as an observance. So in the ashram, the rules were based truth, non-violence, chastity, non-attachment, non-possession. These are called Mahavratas in our Vedas. Maharishi Patanjali calls them Panchayama. In Jainism, they are known as Panchamahayama. In Buddhism, they are known as Panchashila. They are accepted in the cardinal principles of Christianity. They are acceptable to all the religions of the world in one form or the other. To that, Gandhi added two more auxiliary vrata of fearlessness and control of palate. Fearlessness is essential for practicing the first 5 observances. And aswada means not only control of palate, but control of all the senses. It was such a life in the ashram of absolute self-control. And looking at the condition in India, he had added 4 more observances, which is removal of untouchability, equality of all the religion, bread labor, and communal harmony. So how did he come to this stage, and what is it that is required in a leader? What are the traits in a leader that is very much there and required to be brought out? First one is that one must not want the position. First and foremost trait is that leaders must not want the position. The foremost consideration for Gandhi was of being of service to people. He did not do it for any position or wealth or power. He did it just because he had total compassion and love for people. The second trait that all of us can acquire and have it already, but we need to practice that, is knowledge. That knowledge should be such that it has to be firmly established in wisdom. It has to be reflected in our actions. And we must be able to communicate through our actions to people. That is what Gandhi could do, whatever knowledge he gained. And he gained a lot of knowledge because he kept his mind open. That he turned into wisdom and into action. So he was the practical idealist and someone who was a transformational leader who not only transformed his life but transformed the lives of his followers also and led them from a worse situation to a better situation. The third trait that the leader had, or Gandhi has, or everybody can cultivate is having an impeccable character above reproach. We have to watch every step that we take. We have to be vigilant all the time. And Gandhi was one person who was ever vigilant. Firstly, he had perfect control over his sleep. He would work for 18 to 20 hours a day. And he was doing it selflessly, without wanting any position, as I have said before. All of us have that same 24 hours. If he could do that, we can do that too. So that is the challenge for everybody, how to transform themselves. Then he had the inner calling, the leader who has the inner calling, or Swadharma as it is called in the Bhagavad Gita. Everybody has a unique talent and everyone has to bring out that talent. Gandhi's talent, or Gandhi's Swadharma, was service and the quest for truth. So that continuously led him towards moral and ethical behavior, and it uplifted him spiritually at each step in life. And for him, he had said, one step is enough for me. For Gandhi, each mistake, each day, each experiment was a process of learning. The fourth trait that the leader has, that he developed his intellect and acted on it. How did he do that? God has given us two fantastic faculties. One is the mind, the other one is our intellect, or vivek as we call it. Buddhi and vivek. Everybody has it. God has endowed us with that. But when we use our mind, thoughts come and they lead us astray. Our emotions take control over us. They sway us from here to there. We do only what we like. And because of that, one makes wrong decisions. But when the intellect is working and functioning, you are able to make the right choice. And with that right choice, you acquire three traits automatically of punctuality, promptness and discipline, which is very, very essential for Gandhi. Especially he was a very punctual person. And that's why I was asking you whether we should not start at 5 o'clock. For him, each and every moment was a God-given moment and had to be spent in the service of God. So for him, how did he get that? It is very easy. It is through repeated questioning. And that question has been asked in our civilization since the past 5,000 years. And that question is, Ko aham? Who am I? What is the purpose of my life? For Gandhi, the answer came because he introspected, he meditated, and he could hear the inner voice. All of us have that inner voice, but in the noise and in the burden of ego, we do not hear that. Gandhi had no such problem. He could communicate, hear the inner voice very easily. So at all points in life, the inner voice guided him. Antaratma guided him. And that's why he was able to make the right choice. Though he was a human being, once again I must tell you. So there were many mistakes that kept happening, but he kept learning and never repeated that mistake. But for us to be able to charge the intellect, because it gets dissipated in the day doing various things, like we charge the mobile. Here we don't need a charger, as you were talking about Tesla, that through human power, once things will get start charging, then will be the day of nanotechnology and metaphysics, etc. But it is very important to pray, to be grateful for what we have, to offer our thanks to each and every moment, thanks to God Almighty for each moment, and to meditate. So these are the ways, tools through which we can develop our intellect, and you can see that in Gandhi's case, he had a very well developed intellect and he acted on this. The fifth trait was action. I have already told you about action. But in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna talks about three kinds of actions. One is niyatam karma, the obligatory duty. It is a leader who, whether he likes it or not, does only his obligatory duties, whatever his likes and dislikes do not matter. The obligatory duties have to be done. Like, for example, much before we are born, our parents are here, are already born. Our family is here. Our neighbors are there. Our society is there. Our nation is there. Our planet Earth, Mother Earth is there. So our obligatory duty is to serve our parents, to serve our family, to serve our neighbors, to serve our society, the nation, and the Mother Earth. This obligatory duty is for everybody. no problem where they are living, whether they're living in one part of the world or somewhere else, does not matter. We must understand what has to be done, has to be done. And the second kind of action which generally people do is kamya karma, action driven by desire. If we like it, we do it. If we don't like it, we don't do it. Very easy way of doing it. That is not the way to do things in Gandhi's life. And the last one is nishiddha karma, something which is prohibited, which is forbidden in the conduct of life, in the art of living, because it takes you to a total destruction. So Gandhi was somebody who knew his action and did his obligatory duties. But the sixth trait is that he did it in the spirit of yajna, sacrifice. Every moment of his life was being done as a sacrifice to this divine power in the world. That is because he was driven by higher vision, higher ideals, larger ideals, and not just by self-interest. So he could do every task in the spirit of yajna, that is sacrifice and service. The seventh trait that he had is oneness, about which I have already explained how easy it was for him to see oneness with everybody. That is the capacity to feel love for others, feel compassion, empathy, and to be of service to others. Whatever he did it wholeheartedly. And that is what we need to understand. Whatever we do, whenever we do, we must do it wholeheartedly. And that is when you move towards being a leader. That's when you move towards being a very successful person. The eighth quality was objectivity. Objectivity is like very simple, that in our lives we have to play different roles. And you can apply this to yourself and see. I'm going to talk about Gandhi. He was a son, he was a brother, he was a student, he was a barrister, he was a husband, father to his sons, he was a societal Gandhi Bhai, because he then gave up everything, renounced everything for serving humanity. And he was also a social reformer. He was also a visionary who, much before the world was preoccupied by the environmental concerns, had told that world is enough for man's needs, but not man's greed. And on 2nd October, UN has brought out a stamp in honoring Mahatma Gandhi on his 150th birth anniversary. And this was presented to me on 2nd October this year in Vienna, where I addressed the UN office. And it says so beautifully, he had declared more than a century ago, this earth, this air, this water, this air is not an inheritance from our forefathers. It is on loan from our children. Therefore we have to return it in a better condition than how we had received it. So that is what we see in him. He played so many roles. He was a religious thinker. He constantly spoke about understanding different religions, having many friends from the religion, having interfaith dialogue to resolve conflicts. And today's International Nobel Peace Prize has been announced, and it has gone to this president from Ethiopia, who has resolved conflict with non-violence and with peace. So I remember him and I congratulate him also. And also, above all, he was a writer, a prolific writer. So he edited newspapers for 4 decades. He wrote volumes, more than 99 volumes. Every word was original. He was a very, very well-read person and a knowledgeable person in his writing. So his collected works run into more than 100 volumes. And he used to write 200 letters every day. Now you can see in those 24 hours, in each of the minutes, how much he packed in life, how much of love in action was going on. So this is Mahatma Gandhi, but he was a deeply spiritual person, a leader, a saint, the Mahatma. So I am so grateful to God for having given me this chance to be born in Mahatma's ashram and imbibe all these qualities which are required for each one of us to practice. The ninth quality that he had was sattva or purity, tranquility of mind, calmness. This was because he was free from desires. The moment you become desireless and without any attachment or possession, immediately your thinking becomes very, very positive. He was also like us, I said, used to feel happiness and sorrow, but he always rose above that. So this is something which we see in him, which we always can practice, which we can always cultivate. 10th trait was that he walked the talk. Here was a person in whom there is no discrepancy between what he said or what he did. Kathani or karni ka abhed. If there is one person in this entire recent future in whose life we see total transparency and openness, here is the man to learn. Also, he is the person who lived according to the main messages of the Bhagavad Gita, and those are living selflessly without attachment and possession, and leading a life of sacrifice and yajna. So I will end with the first shloka from the Upanishad. I don't know whether you're studying Upanishads or not. These are the essence of the Vedas. And the first Veda, Upanishad, Ishopanishad, talks about a profound thing which a Christian priest, when he had come to Sevagram, has asked Gandhi to describe the essence of Indian civilization in 3 words, to which he said, renounce and rejoice, tyago or bhogo. And the shloka from the Upanishad says, Isha vasyamidam sarvam yat kincha jagatyan jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita ma gridha kasya svitanam. Everything in this world belongs to God. Nothing really belongs to us. Enjoy the objects of the world in an attitude of perfect non-attachment. Enjoy it with a feeling of sacrifice to the extent that is necessary for you, and leave the rest for others in the society. Never ever crave the possession of others. So this renounce and rejoice is the essence of our Indian civilization. We have never been aggressors. We have never attacked anybody. We have taken our highest philosophical thoughts and our wonderful open minds to the world to spread knowledge. And that is in the same tradition that I continue to spread knowledge of our wisdom tradition and our great role model Mahatma Gandhi. So with this, I really want to thank you for giving me your only non-renewable resource. Do you know what it is? The only non-renewable resource that all of us have is our time. Once time goes, it doesn't. What happens tomorrow, we don't know. So all we have is this present moment. Even if we want to transform ourselves, even if we want to change ourselves, this is the time. This is the moment. The action has to start from now. So as I have said, Gandhi did whatever he could at that time. This is now our time to change. Gandhi had said, be the change that you want to see in the world. And therefore with this message, that all of us are capable of transforming ourselves. All of us are perfectly capable of the power of one. All of us are capable of rising high in our spiritual pursuit day by day by day. So with that blessing and best wishes from Mahatma Gandhi, that I thank you all for giving me the gift, the most invaluable gift of your time. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, if anybody wants to know more, then we'll be happy to answer any question that you have, if you have the time, that is. I can just spend 5 minutes, or if you have any impression, or if you want to say something or add something to what I have said, please, in 5 minutes we can share our thoughts and ideas. Or how did you like today's talk? Let me put it that way. But it takes time to assimilate such profound knowledge, and to such profound statements, they stay with us, but it slowly, slowly, slowly acts on us. Once the best way is meditation, and you all have been doing chakra meditation, and I'm very happy for that. And I would have loved to do a session of chakra meditation with you, but time does not permit me to do that. And from today we met the ambassador of India in Slovenia, and he was very happy to meet Madam Professor, my dear divine friend. And because of her I am here, and because of her love in action, that I was able to do this, to meet you also. But for that also there was another professor, Professor Davor Pavona, who came to Zagreb for my talk. He was so inspired, so impressed. He said, in the entire world he has heard about Gandhi from different people, but nowhere has he heard such an evolved, enlightened and wonderful talk. So he told her to organize something, and that is why she had to do it in such a way. So from the ambassador I have a gift for you, which is this book. You can see that this is an autobiography of Mahatma Gandhi in your language.
Can we have a picture?
So we can take a photo of you
And
giving me this.
after this we have a group.